Well, good morning, everybody. It's not really that great of a morning. It's October 23rd, 2025, and it is 10:45 in the morning. Finally, I'm doing an earlier video. But the news is very, very disturbing. And not many people have made any comments yet on this. I'm sure that by the time I'm going to be putting this up, shortly thereafter, a lot of people are going to be talking about this. But as you all know, Donald Trump has now indefinitely canceled any peace negotiations with Russia. And the video I did yesterday, I was sensing something very, very bad is going to be going on, and of course now we have it. This is very bad. I only saw one video, and it was by Emil Kosman. Emil Kosman, oftentimes he catches these things and he puts up videos fairly quickly, and he actually senses this is the beginning of World War III, and it very well could be. And in my video yesterday, I was actually putting out two possibilities. Well, in actuality, it's actually three, because as you see how Donald Trump has now been acting, and in truth, Donald Trump, as a statesman, as a geopolitical statesman, is incompetent. There is undeniable truth to that. And everybody, as you see, all the world leaders virtually, except for Iran and the Houthi and everybody, they're kind of playing Donald Trump's bluff and acting like they're getting on their knees before the king. I guess maybe you can say that, the king. Donald Trump he acts less like a king, even though he is, so to speak, very authoritarian in the United States. With a system like the United States, it makes you wonder, well, how can you be authoritarian with the checks and balances and things like that? This is all just nothing but a big mess. And a lot of laws don't exist in the United States, even if they are written on the books, and you think they exist. They don't really exist. They have these like executive orders, everything, anything that's written in the Constitution. And what did George Bush say? It's nothing but a goddamn piece of paper, and they don't have to obey it. I mean, look at this. You got this authoritarian king attitude. Even goes back to that time. Obama, he gave himself the license to be bombing children and weddings in Afghanistan every weekend, and then laughing about it on the golf course. And it's kind of strange. Donald Trump is alluding to the fact that Biden is the worst president in history, but we're going to all look back, if this thing keeps going as it is, we're going to all look back and say that Biden was maybe, since George Bush, he might be the most sensible president, even with all of the mistakes he made and didn't spend any time doing much work. He just sat there on the beach and eating ice cream cones. And who knows who was running the country at that time? Maybe it was a conglomeration of different peoples. But Donald Trump is really messing things up. And as I was saying yesterday, I just put it down to him being indecisive. Donald Trump, oh, well, I think I'll do this. And then in the evening, just like Lukashenko, the president of Belarus, says, in the morning, Donald Trump says one thing, in the afternoon, he says something completely different. He says the opposite. And who's to guess what the heck Donald Trump, what is in his head? And everybody is supposed to sit back and, oh, Donald Trump, you're so great. Oh, look at how great, all these great things you did. Look at his ceasefire his ceasefire thing in Israel. And Israel is violating the ceasefire agreements right and left and up and down and everywhere, but yet the blame goes to Hamas. It's absolutely incredible. And it's only because Israel has all the power. Israel, it's like, it's like some people were talking about all this threat of Hamas. And of course, Hamas is created by Israel. And just like this October 7th of 2023, that was basically, you could practically even say Israel is the one that planned it all. And maybe they even did. This is a bunch of BS. And as you know, a lot of the funding from Hamas, it was coming from Qatar. But do you know who was putting that money in that bank account that was going to Hamas? It was Israel. Israel was doing it. They started at the very beginning and they kept on going all the way through, almost all the way up to that October 7th. That was all funded by Israel. And of course, you need an enemy. If you want to take over that land, for example, you want to take over that land, You need to make these people an enemy so it will justify you moving in and liquidating all these people. And that's what happened. And right now, of course, Hamas is a lot wiser, so they're not doing anything. They're not doing anything to provoke Israel, but yet Israel sends some people. They send some bottle rockets into Israel. You know, they go to the border, send it into Israel, and say that Hamas did it. Just to keep. And Donald Trump is he playing dumb, or is he just dumb? He's playing dumb. He's playing dumb. Let's just be honest about that. So just forget about that. But let's talk about now what's going on with this Ukraine thing. And oh, he's a fair negotiator. Oh, he's not on either side. I mean, is that why you're doing everything for Ukraine and do nothing but pressure Russia, right, left, and backwards, pressuring India, pressuring China, pressure Brazil, pressure everybody. You want to destroy the BRICS. Gosh, it's almost like Donald Trump is trying to usher in a global dictatorship where he is actually the king, not the king. Oh, why did I say king? Not that he's definitely not acting like the king. He's acting like the emperor. Boy, and the empire just is incredible. This is really going on. These sanctions, like I said yesterday, you know, there's these different scenarios, things that could happen, but and I was even suggesting. I said, well, he said, oh, I'm going to wait a few days, 2 days, he said, and then I'm going to tell you my decision. But it's not even 2 days. Today's only Thursday. I was thinking he's going to say on Friday, but Rutte made an unannounced quick visit to Washington, D.C. to talk to Donald Trump even beforehand. And it was huge. You had Marco Rubio there. You had a lot of people there. And you had a huge amount of press there. And unless Donald Trump is playing a friggin' game again, he's putting on, well, he announced it. He had the papers. Strange. Isn't that strange that he had the papers already all drawn up? He had it all drawn up even before Rutte came, or immediately thereafter. How could you have all of this stuff drawn up so absolutely quickly with all these sanctions on the two major oil companies of Russia? In other words, this has already been known. This has probably been known for quite some time. I would put this, as you remember, I should stick with my script here instead of jumping around. But as you remember, there were these attacks on these oil refineries and oil stations in Slovakia, and it was put out that the CIA was involved in this. The CIA and the MI6. MI6 is obviously heavily involved in Ukraine and doing all the sabotage, just like this spider web. It's been put out that was all coordinated by the MI6, and Ukraine played a much smaller role in that, but it was actually the British that were doing that, you know, bombing Russia's strategic nuclear protection units there. I tell you what, and that's a big no-no. That's actually a war-provoking move right there. But of course, the British are the ones doing most of it, and the Ukrainian, you get the Nazis, they'll do anything. They will do anything. You give a nuclear bomb to Ukraine, Ukraine will use it. They will use it on Russia. They will use it within 1 month. They'll just make sure that they can get it through and bomb Moscow and kill as much Russians as possible. These are real fanatic people. And that's who the United States always chooses. Al-Qaeda or, well, you know, most of these bands never even existed anyway. It's just a conglomeration of terrorists that the United States CIA actually gets together. Man alive. So anyway, I should get on to my script here because I'm just so animated right now. And like I said, Emil Kosman is believing that this is, and I was even, when I was hearing this stuff, it's this cannot be happening. This is actually the beginning of World War III. They're shaping the battlefield, as they say. And I was even talking about that yesterday. I should have even said that term, shaping the battlefield. All of this stuff, what's going on, and it has been going on for quite some time. And I'm not saying that this, what do you call it, a takeover or a whatever, or an operation against Transnistria is a certain thing, but this is just shaping the battlefield to make it as a very strong possibility that this could happen. And you also saw that Zelensky was in Sweden, and he's getting, what is it, 20, 30, or 50 Gripen fighters, which are probably better than a lot of these other, like Rafale or Tornadoes or whatever, the stuff coming from the rest of Europe. And, you know, Sweden normally puts out some decent quality stuff. And as you know, Sweden was not in NATO until recently, neither was Finland. And of course, somehow they got pushed into this. This is really the movement of this, what is going to be happening in most all probability, is absolutely shocking and it's terrifying. It should be terrifying for everybody in all of Europe, and maybe even much beyond Europe. Because as you know, they've disobeyed treaties, they've abandoned the treaties, you know, not just the NPT and all of these other things, but these treaties that governed neutrality for like some of these islands in the Baltic. And now, of course, they militarized them. Sweden did as well. I mean, this is really incredible. So let me go back to my script now. I can't even go onto my script. I'm so animated. So, you know, so he canceled the Budapest Peace Summit. And like I was saying, I was thinking he was going to do this. What he did with Iran, as you all noticed, he was doing peace negotiations while he was planning to bomb them, and this is exactly what he did. So they were right in the middle of peace negotiations, Iran acting in good faith, as they always do. They always do, in good faith. And Donald Trump started bombing them. It's like, what's going on here? And the IAEA, as I said yesterday, and there is zero evidence, even Tulsi Gabbard put that out, that there is no evidence whatsoever that Iran is trying to build a nuclear bomb. But Donald Trump is going along those lines, and it's supposedly to please Israel, but Israel is there to please the United States. It sounds like it's a converted mess. Who was this? Wilkerson. I think he's an admiral. Admiral Larry, it was Larry Wilkerson, talking about it makes it, to those that are informed, it looks like Israel controls the U.S., but apparently it's something much different than that. But that's even more covert. It's like a double, I don't know. So it's very difficult to actually state this, that Wilkerson, he didn't even do a tremendous job of doing that, but he made it known that that's exactly what exists. Somebody has to maybe put out some sort of a study or an analysis to actually say exactly how that works. But anyway, Emil Kosman, his YouTube video is called NATO-Rus War Really Started. Wow. One thing I want to also add to this is Donald Trump is always calling it Biden's war. It would never have started if I was president. Biden's war. But I'll tell you what, you know when it actually started? It was when Donald Trump was president. That's when the war actually started. Donald Trump got up there and bragged. Obama gave them blankets. As you know, Joe Biden, he was actually running the administration of Ukraine at that time. Everybody called him the real president, the shadow president of Ukraine, because he controlled Poroshenko at that time. But anyway, he said, Donald Trump said, Obama gave Ukraine blankets and I gave them javelins. So it's kind of strange, isn't that? Obama was not giving them weapons of war, but Donald Trump was giving them javelin missiles. But yet it's Biden's war. But Donald Trump was not the president at that time. It was, I mean, Obama or Biden was not the president. That was before Biden became president. Donald Trump was giving them javelin missiles. But it never would have started if Donald Trump was president. Well, guess what? It started when Donald Trump was the president. I mean, it's like this guy, Donald Trump, he might be the most amazing cognitive warfare warrior that exists out there. Because I wasn't even thinking that. I was thinking, hey, that's, we were all made to believe that Biden is the one that was actually doing all this, but it started under Donald friggin' Trump. He started giving them the weapons to kill Russians with. But yet it's Biden's war? I don't know. I have to try to keep that in my head as well, because Donald Trump did such a fantastic job of brainwashing everybody, including myself, to think that Biden is the one that was actually doing this when it all started with Donald Trump. I gave them javelins and Obama only gave them blankets. Wow, isn't that something? And if you look at all the major escalations, all of them that have been occurring, Biden gave them Abrams tanks, which turned into be a big zonker, and we were all going, oh. But all the major escalations, they all happen under Donald Trump. So he is absolutely a master of cognitive warfare. That's what they called it. That's the new term. Jeez, wow. And that was, he started, Donald Trump is the one that started the war. It's Donald Trump's war, by his own admission. Maybe I should call this video Donald Trump's war. It is Trump's war. Trump started it. It's incredible. But yet we're all fooled, all of us. Like I said, and myself included. I don't even know how I woke up earlier today thinking, wait a minute, isn't it Donald Trump that actually started all this stuff? And it certainly is. Jeez. Sure, Biden was there to profit. He's a very corrupt guy. There's no doubt about that. I think I'm now allowed to talk about Rosemont Seneca and all that, and about all of these, the laboratories, biological laboratories that Biden was. I'll tell you what. This is who are the men behind the curtain actually pulling all of this stuff? That's absolutely incredible. It's absolutely incredible. It's of course BlackRock, and maybe BlackRock and the WEF are joined at the hip now, because Larry Fink is now the one in charge of that. BlackRock, the richest company on planet Earth. And of course, that's one of their big projects is Ukraine. And you all know Victoria Nuland and George Soros. It's like everybody's involved. And Candace Owens, she was talking now about virtually everybody that acted as Charlie Kirk's friends are involved in this sort of a deal. And then it makes you think back also about the JFK assassination. Well, who did that? And it's like there's things pointing to Israel back then. And President Johnson said, apparently, and I got to figure out, because I haven't heard anybody using this quote, and pardon to anybody that's religious out there. I guess I am allowed to swear. I hear a lot of people swearing on YouTube, so let me say this, and I'm just quoting what President Lyndon B. Johnson said. He said, just make me president and I'll give you your goddamn war. Speaking about what's going on in at that time in Vietnam. So what the friggin' crap? So they had globalists back then. A lot of these people obviously are in the military-industrial complex. This is really incredible. It's just mind-boggling. It's absolutely mind-boggling. So many people, truth activists that are making these videos, are telling you virtually all of the same stuff. And I don't know, put it all together, piece it all together. And there's so many people, and they're all involved in this. It's like, well, what is a conspiracy? That sounds like a conspiracy to me. Jeez, wow. And I'm not saying that Barack Obama is any kind of an innocent type of guy. Well, maybe he was the one to be the what does it call it? To guide it in, to slowly tease the into a war, and to get everybody to accept this. That Russia is, everybody out there, most everybody at least watching this, they know that this is just nothing but a friggin' dog and pony show. That the United States is doing this, but we're supposed to think that Russia is the bad guy. And as you see what's going on right now, these are just major provocations, and they're trying to push Russia into starting something. But what is the object of this? What is the object? Do they want a nuclear war? Do these people think that they're going to survive in their bunkers, even though they got these massive 1,000 square meter luxury bunkers underground, with swimming pools and bowling alleys and all sorts of things like that? I don't know. Do they think they're really going to be living like that? Do they have greenhouses and grow lights and things like that? I mean, and who is actually picked to actually go down there and to live out this? I mean, how long is this supposed to happen? What is the half-life of radiation when you radiate your own country with nuclear bombs? You know? And then some people are talking about this, somehow this city and this network underneath Denver airport or something. I'm starting to think this really must be true, because why are these guys doing this? Why are these globalists actually trying to cause this? You know, it's unbelievable. I wonder if Putin has this stuff. And I might have mentioned at some point in time already to you guys, and this is the honest to God truth, and I've been there, I've seen it with my own eyes. I was not even allowed to be, I don't know, what was it, maybe 100 meters away from the entrance. They have one of these things, and you take I guess you guys have to know, or you have to believe the things that I've been telling you, and trust me, I am not lying to you. I've never lied to you about any of this stuff. If I was going to lie to you, I would say I was some big war hero from the Iraq wars and things like that. I never went to Iraq wars. I was not any kind of a CIA sort of a spy or anything like that, but I was around these people, and I've seen a lot of this stuff. I've been to some very secret places. I could tell you stories you wouldn't believe, but I don't know what the point of all that would be if I was just to be telling you about these things. And there are people that are fake. One guy, he's on YouTube. His name starts with a B, and he says that he's some big CIA guy, and he always has to have something in videos and his titles and stuff. CIA, former CIA. The guy's friggin' not any CIA. I mean, obviously, you had these people that were intelligence workers like Larry Johnson, and there's a lot of them. Ray McGovern. But this other guy's just nothing but a fake. And I say I was not in this stuff. And I've known some of these people. I've known people that are just very, very, very frightening. I'll tell you what. And it's like, man, you don't stand a chance. I mean, from a long distance away with a handgun. They can put bullets right into your mouth. That's how, very, very quickly. It's like, I mean, from 50 meters away. You know, bam, 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 and that fast. Because I went to the range with these people. I could not do this stuff. You have to do a lot of practice, and I think they had 38s. I guess I was with a 38 at that time too. But I was pretty good with a 45. And and there's that was an officer's gun back in my day till they went to Berettas and things. But anyway, some of these officers were very good at 50. Or was it 40 meters? It was 40 meters. 40 meters. We were having to do 40 meters, but sometimes you do 50 meters. Just to make it a little bit more interesting. But in these ranges, and I even admit to you, if I was a liar, I would tell you, I was an expert on the. Actually, I was. Expert is actually just the first tier. Expert, sharpshooter. Wait a minute. No. It's marksman, sharpshooter, expert. So I was a marksman, and most of the time I only made marksman. I made sharpshooter. I never made expert on the M16 rifle. I was pretty good with a handgun, but not with the M16 rifle. I can tell you truth about a lot of stuff. But I tell you what I was leading up to, I went to a place. This is the honest to God truth. And there is, just like Cheyenne Mountain or whatever, that's the United States has military bases buried deep into solid rock, deep right into big tunnels, right into solid rocks. In the middle of the United States to withstand nuclear war. They have one of those in Europe too. Trust me, I've been to that one. And I've had to sign papers that say I will never talk about the things I have seen while I was doing what I was doing in the military. That's just to let you guys know. I swear to God, I promise you, you can put me on a lie detector test or on a Bible about all of this kind of stuff. But anyway, that's not the point of this video. I'm just saying there's some really crazy stuff, and I'm starting to think, are these guys really serious? Do they really, really want to do this? They don't understand Russia one bit, the Russian mentality. This is just shocking. And I'll tell you what, Emil Kosman, he's Romanian, and he understands that mentality a lot better, apparently, than most of those people. You can get a major understanding of the mentality from Scott Ritter. Are these people in Washington, D.C. really that stupid and idiotic? Or do they really think in what they're actually trying to do? And this is an undeniable, they want a complete defeat of Russia. And that's just been that way. As I told you, I was a history major as well. I'm putting all these pieces together, and I read that in books, that this was it was not at that time, but they've been against Russia for hundreds of years. And that was part of the major studies in not in ancient times, but in the Holy Roman Empire. We're talking maybe back starting in the year 1115 or whatever. Albert the Bear from Saxon-Anhalt, when they put him in charge of the Nordmark in what is now actually turned out to be what is Kaliningrad and all that. Now it is under Russian control, and of course Poland really wants that. This is some really crazy stuff. Yesterday I talked about a very strong possibility, and it definitely is. Like I said, it's a possibility. I talked about Transnistria, that they're going to be going for that, and of course they want this defeat of Russia, and it is how are they planning on causing this defeat of Russia? And of course, as you all know, they tried this two-front war to get it going, and they're really, really, really trying very badly, the EU and the United States, to get this going in Georgia. That you can say the United States way back in 2008 when they staged that attack with Saakashvili, when George Bush was president, and he and Putin were both in China, and Putin did the famous finger wag at George Bush and had to leave right away. He just got there to China to watch the Olympics. Vladimir Putin, and then he had to take off because of this major attack. Gosh. And Israel was involved in that too, by the way. Gosh, this is absolutely incredible. I mean, is this even believable? I mean, these are all just facts. So anyway, so Rutte sitting next to Trump. No, that was a big surprise to everybody, and everything was all ready. Everything was prepared. The big press thing and the paperwork was already done. So this is not just some spur of the moment thing. So Donald Trump knew this. He knew yesterday when I made my video and I said, well, Donald Trump wants to hear from NATO and the EU before he's going to make this decision whether he's going to go to Budapest or not. I'll tell you, it looks obvious now. It's obvious now he already made that decision. He was not going to go to Budapest. So this is really something. This is really something. So they got the heavy sanctions, and then the surprise attacks. It wasn't a surprise in Slovakia. And when Robert Fico, the leader of Slovakia, questioned Zelensky, why did you do this? Why are you destroying these refineries of Russian oil, that my country depends on? Our entire economy depends on that. Zelensky just laughed. And he laughed because he has the backing and he knew that, of the CIA, the United States. Donald Trump himself might even be privy to all this, because he didn't do anything. Donald Trump didn't do anything. And look at this. After the call of this peace negotiation, immediately right after that, a couple of days afterwards, a bombing of an oil refinery in Hungary. And then there was another bombing of that. And then there was another bombing in Romania. All of these are Russian oil and gas facilities. And of course it is to economically cut off Russia. And now these sanctions that they're coming up with. And again, Donald Trump yesterday, he reiterated, even though everybody is questioning, he's saying that India is going to go along with the sanctions against Russia. They're going to cut off Russian hydrocarbons, or petroleum products, or petroleum energy, gas and oil, and India. A lot of the people in the higher people in the government of India says, we never said anything like that, blah blah blah. But Donald Trump keeps saying, I talked to Modi, and he said that he is going to wind down. He said it yesterday, and makes him wonder, why in the heck is he playing Russia? But all it takes is Putin to get on the telephone and call Modi and say, is this true? And if Modi says this is not true, then Putin doesn't have anything to worry about. But Donald Trump is trying to at least make everybody think that India is going to cut off Russian, petroleum products or petroleum energy. This is really strange. And then of course you have this threat of the tomahawks. And Donald Trump says, I still haven't decided on all that. Well, there is a threat to tomahawks. That is a long range, very long range, I guess you could say. It's not an intercontinental ballistic missile, but it has got a lot of power, and explosive power, and it is long range. And of course, if they have to fire this, which they would, it's not like you can give it to terrorists like what Ukraine is doing. The SBU is giving drones and drone, and they paying lots of money for Russians to bomb things within Russia. And so that's where a lot of that destruction is happening right now. But to get a Tomahawk, you can't just smuggle it in, of course. It's way too large. So it's going to have to probably, at least at the time being, it's going to have to be fired from Ukrainian territory. And before it goes any long distance, it's like, why would they use a Tomahawk, which is quite expensive, which is a huge missile, if they're going to do it close range? And what is close range and what is not close range? I don't know. Maybe you can consider Krasnodar as long range as well. Sochi. What about Moscow? Leningrad, Smolensk. There's a lot of places that they could be hitting, and that would be considered long range. Moscow, it's going to be highly unlikely, or it's maybe even highly unlikely for them to be hitting Vaganzavod, the major factory that puts out Russian weapons, because it will be shot down long before that, I would imagine. If I were Russia right now, I would be building S-500, S-400, and S-500 air defense systems like they're going out of style. And I can bet, if they're not stupid, they're going to be making these Orishniks like they're going out of style too. You have to look at what these globalists are doing, what their plan A is, plan B, and plan C. They have various plans. And of course, yeah, maybe they would rather that Vladimir Putin just surrendered. And of course, the strategic defeat of Russia to destroy its economy, these are all the goals. This is absolutely incredible. And this is all coming to light more now than it has been ever. Wow. So what else is going on here? I talked about these attacks on these oil refineries and such. This is much more much more planned by the CIA and maybe MI6. MI6 is normally operating, as you all know, in the British love their water sports, so they're operating out of Odessa, apparently, in the near area there, and with their drones. And Russia has found ways to actually thwart a lot of that, but there are attacks going on in Russia, and Russia's not even mentioning. Russia is very good at that, not mentioning a lot of things that they know that are, I don't know, maybe it's to calm public opinion and things like that. So they have a little bit of their own, I wouldn't call it cognitive warfare, I would call it cognitive easing, cognitive public easing or whatever, I don't know. So anyhow, it's really something. But so the main goal, you have to keep that in mind. The main goal, that includes what Donald Trump is doing, everything that Donald Trump does. Whether he goes and he's friendly with Vladimir Putin, don't even let that fool you. Don't even let it fool you. The main goal is the defeat of Russia. And it looks like the West thinks that they can do this now, because they are in such a way, as far as the defeat of Russia is concerned, they are united more than they ever have been. This is the first time. Now you have Sweden and you have Finland involved. You have the United States with all of Europe, basically, except for some of these people that depend on Russian energy. And of course, it's not going to be very difficult when you have this massive amount. There's at least 40 countries, all involved, heavily involved, in trying to bring about a very, very devastating defeat on Russia. So this is really going to be something. Really, this is really, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what to say about this. And as you all know, there's a lot of these smaller countries, and it's not going to be that difficult when you see this big, massive mob. It's like mob mentality. It's like when you see these big mobs, mobbing someplace, and there's some one poor person and they beat the crap out of him and the whole mob goes against him. This is kind of a little bit about what's going on right now. It makes you really wonder how this is going to end. But in the meantime, what about China? Is China going to stay out of this, or is China going to join in? We all know that North Korea is going to be definitely on the side of Russia. But is that enough? I mean, this might really come to something really hot. This is really something. And I don't know. I doubt very much. There's no way that Putin can concede and call, and give up, or anything close to that. The people right now are actually, believe it or not, and you're not hearing this anywhere, but the people are kind of pissed off with Vladimir Putin right now. And it's not like they are against anything really that Putin, but they want to see this war ended, and they want to basically see a victory, a huge victory of Russia. And the fact that Vladimir Putin is taking this slow, trying not to kill civilians, they don't really quite understand that's the whole thing, is Russia's kind of going slow to give civilians a chance to get out of the way, and they want things to go much faster, and they know that Russia can go much faster than this. But maybe, and a lot of people are also saying that Vladimir Putin has an ace. He's holding his ace, and that might be the ace right now. So you might see another escalation. Russia has already escalated, but there might be something more. You never know. But when you do this escalation, there's going to be a lot more Russians. If they go on the offensive, normally the offensive side loses more men than the defensive side. And Russia is trying to create a situation where they are also, to a large extent, on the defensive to get the Ukrainians to make a lot of the attacks, and that's what is happening right now. And that minimizes their own casualties. I think that if you were to give that message to Colonel McGregor or Scott Ritter, any other military person, they will agree with me what I said on that. And I'm not a military analyst. I'm just telling you, I'm not a dumb person, and I've been watching things. I studied a lot of history, and in history a lot of these strategies and things. And even though I never learned this in any military college or nothing, but you guys, I don't know, it's like some things that stay with you, and you say, well, that's how that works, and that makes sense, and that's what's been figured out. So yeah, but I don't know, is it going to be to the point where we actually hope that there will be a military confrontation between the United States and Russia? Because Europe knows, obviously, like I just said, the goal is the defeat of Russia. And that is the goal of the United States. That is the goal of the Europeans, to defeat Russia. And the Europeans, Donald Trump acting like he's stepping back, and he might have been stepping back. I don't know. But he has definitely now gone onto the side where, yes, he wants to see the defeat of Russia. He's always been on the side of Ukraine. But I don't really buy it necessarily that he actually wanted to see any kind of a peace negotiation. What we're talking about now, he demands a seizing of the front lines, and I don't know that Putin's going to do that, because that means Minsk 3 comes up, so they're going to be sending in troops, and of course that's what they're waiting on. That is another one of their possibilities. They probably have plan A, plan B, plan C, and plan D. One of those plans is that if Russia goes for it, Russia feels the pressure, and they say, okay, well, a ceasefire then. And then they're going to flood Ukraine with weapons and troops, and then they're going to be bringing in British and French and everything else. If there's going to be a ceasefire, then they've already said they're going to be sending the troops in. Poland said they're not going to, but I'll tell you what, if this actually goes the way that they were trying, they were just, who was it that they said it was, they were waiting for the word from Donald Trump. So when Donald Trump is going to go into this, and he wants to be known as the president that defeated Russia and brought peace, this is it. I mean, this is incredible. And these globalists, if it's going to be coming to war, if it's going to be coming to a confrontation between the United States and Russia, certainly they want to keep it from going nuclear. But they want to, in order to defeat Russia, they feel they may just have to have a direct confrontation between Russia and the United States. And they hope that it won't go nuclear, but if it does, they got their bunkers all primed up and ready to go. Lots of water. Maybe they got their hazmat suits. They think that, we're going to be able to walk out of here and go to another place that we have, a little house we have, like Zelensky has his house. What island was that? He's got his luxury house with a huge bunker underneath it. in the Caribbean. That was announced. It doesn't look that impressive. He's got like, it's a small house, doesn't look impressive at all, but he bought this house, but underneath it is a huge bunker. A huge luxury bunker. It's on some small Caribbean island. I forgot the name of the island, but I don't know if you guys remember that. That's one of his properties that he bought. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Is it gonna come to this? And all the rest of us can just suck off, you know? We can all just die. Boy, oh boy. Unless you got your own bunker. Well, that's about all I have right now. It's a little bit shorter video, but of course, this is a shocking video. This is, I mean, shocking news that I'm putting out in this video. And send this message to other people, because there is nothing that is not exaggerated or not true that I said in this video. So you do have to worry about it this time. That's why Emil Kosman put out his video like that, and I'm sure a lot of other people. You're going to be seeing some videos coming out during the course of the day today that everybody is going to be like, watch out. And if anybody says, oh, there's nothing to worry about, you know, that's not true. I'm not saying anything is going to happen, but the potential is really there big time. They are shaping the battlefield, I guess, as they say. Wow. Anyway, thanks for joining me, people, and maybe I don't know if I'll make another video today. All the other information that I was hearing about, it's all overshadowed by this one. Absolutely and unbelievable. So at least today, have a good day, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.